Subscribe to the channel and comment, I subscribe. We'll try to reply to all comments.
Hi. Yeah, we are. I have a few questions that I think I can boil down to one topic. I would like to love flying. I would like to have an unlimited disposable income. And I would like to have really good, really easy orgasms all the time.
In other words, you're seeking alignment.
I'm seeking alignment, and I think I'm seeking a trust in myself and a trust in the world around me.
Well, maybe, but you're going about it in a really hard way.
I know.
Because by seeking a trust, that means everybody out there needs to line up with what I want, which means you have to care about what I want, and they cared about one of those things. You have to care about what I want, and you have to do everything in your power to perform and behave in ways that I can then just observe. What you're saying to us is, I didn't know so much about these receiving modes. And so I've been doing what most people do. I've been observing and getting into the receiving mode of whatever I'm observing. And so sometimes what I observe causes me to receive a feeling of negative emotion, and sometimes it causes me to receive a feeling of positive emotion, but I'm not really in control of that. And the reason is, and we may say to you several times today, this is the most important thing that you will hear from us. This is the most important thing that you'll hear from us. If you wait until a manifested moment. Now, what do we mean by a manifested moment? Here's one. It's now. It's the see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it moment. It's the observational moment of life. In other words, here it is. It's manifested. It's manifested because you're translating all of this vibration through your eyes into what you see, and through your nose into what you smell. And this is a moment of manifestation. So if you get in the moment and then you seek to change it, it's too late. This moment manifested. Here it is. It manifested. And what it manifested into, all of the components of this manifestation are about what you were doing as you were making your way to it. In other words, ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. So if you do like so many people do, you keep standing in your manifested moment, noticing the things that are missing in it, then you keep preparing the next moment to be just like it. You get that? So it's different faces, different places, but the same old stuff just keeps happening. Some of it good, some of it not so good. Because you're letting your mind be mostly about what you're observing. What you're observing through your physical senses, and in many ways what you're receiving from that receiving mode. Television really affects the receiving mode of so many people, and it doesn't help you in a positive way for the most part. What you're observing is setting the basis of your vibration. So we didn't tell you this today, but here's how it works. So you're sifting through now. You know what you don't want. You're launching a rocket of desire. Your rockets of desires are culminating in what we've been calling this vibrational reality. You just got to accept it. It's vibrational stuff that you can't see or hear or smell or taste or touch yet. But it is a vibrational reality. It's like the seed in the ground. You can't see that either. But you don't go out there and dig the seed up because it didn't show itself to you the next day. In other words, you understand that there's a process. Well, the seed in the ground for you is this vibrational reality. And this vibration will come out where you can see it and play with it, where you can enjoy it and experience it. But there is a gestation process that is taking place. And so most people are offering their vibration based solely upon what they are observing. And since what they are observing is always less than what they want, always 100% of the time, always less than what you want, because life has caused you to put so much into your vortex that hasn't manifested yet. And so your now reality is always missing all the things that are coming. And if you're only looking at now, then what happens is you become more question oriented and more problem oriented, or more step one oriented, when it would be so simple, easy for us to say, for you to slip into the step 3 mode, where you are receiving from your inner being what your inner being knows. Now think about it. If your receiving mode is mostly about what you're observing, and you don't have as much money as you want and you're observing that, then you're not a good helper to yourself. You're not your own best counselor, because when you think about money, you think about it in all the ways that don't help. You think, I want more. In fact, I'd like infinite money flowing to me. I want way more than I've got. That was a lot of money you don't have.
It's true. But I'm getting there.
When you are looking through your physical senses, so who would you rather be your counselor or your inspirer? You, who believes you don't have enough money, or your inner being who's over here standing with all of the vibrational seeds of all the money that you've been asking for? Your inner being who knows your prosperity. Who would you rather be your counselor? We're really asking you. Such an obvious question and such an obvious answer, but who would you rather be your counselor? Who would you rather receive your impulses from? Your inner being. But how are you going to do that if you haven't practiced getting into the receptive mode of your inner being? If your habit is just to knee-jerk respond is to ask your friends who don't have any money either, or who aren't having enough orgasms either. You want to talk to your inner being. You want to listen for your inner being. And so once you begin doing that, you'll notice that since your inner being really does, we're not kidding you, your inner being knows what you want and how it will most logically and most easily and most quickly and most, here's the key word, in the most satisfying way, unfold for you into another manifestation and another and another and another and another and another and another and another. You can't get there from here. You can't get there from here, from this physical place that you stand, because your beliefs block you. You believe stuff about yourself that your inner being knows is not true. And so you got to quiet your mind. You got to let your inner being run the show for a little while. Just a few seconds while you meditate, just a few minutes here and there, just an impulse here and there and here and there, until what you will show yourself, these words aren't going to show it to you, what you will show yourself if you meditate and if you find that quiet place and if you feel detached and if you receive an impulse of thought and if you follow it through and if you see how it works, if you will do that on a regular basis, you will then be listening to your inner being. And everyone you know who has achieved in magnificent ways is doing exactly that. They don't listen to the world in the way the world is speaking. They're listening to something that is coming from that broader perspective, something that is including everything that is important to you, you see.
Okay.
Helpful?
Very. Thank you.
I know it's none of my business. I love your sparkles.
Anything that's pleasing to you is your business.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Thank you. That's probably a perfect entry point, because a new question arose right now. Because when I'm sitting here, I feel so much pleasure in my body and so much like sparkles and light and expanded beingness. I feel so in tune with that oneness that you were just talking about, and I feel that when I'm hula hooping, when I'm dancing, when I'm writing and floating in the salt pool and playing with friends. And then other times there's this mundane sense that can take up a big chunk of my experience, and I don't...
But nothing has to be mundane. It is your perspective of it that makes it so. But it's not just your perspective of it in the moment that it feels that way. It's your perspective of it leading up to that moment. Every moment could be alive and full for you. In fact, it leads very nicely from the conversation that we just had, because every moment you could be completely intertwined with that broader non-physical part of you who is enjoying all of the aspects of whatever you are about. We say from time to time, in fact, we say it quite often, that you can't go back. And so we know that when you taste a period of time, when you allow yourself to be in alignment, that you allow a momentum to happen that gets feeling so good that feeling less than that good just doesn't feel that good. And that may be what you're calling that mundaneness.
Yeah.
But you can help all of those moments by doing what we've called pre-paving, by anticipating in advance, or by acknowledging. And here's a piece. This is what we would do if we were in your physical shoes. We would acknowledge that everything that we desire, which means everything that we are becoming, Think about that. All of your desires that you wish to manifest is just another way of saying all that I am becoming. So all that you are becoming, all that you are in the process of becoming, you want to be as conscious of that becoming as possible, which means you want to be as present in the moment, which means you want to be as open to the receiving of the energy in that moment as possible. And so the more time you spend, or the more intent you have for doing what we call pre-paving, which is anticipating energy flowing in advance. Begin again. In any moment in time, what most humans are focused upon are the manifestations that have already happened. In other words, once you can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, it's manifested. And so the things that you are looking at that are manifested have less potential to really please you than the things that are still in the process of becoming. So as you've been enjoying, you've been feeling all light and bright and exhilarated, it's because you are in an arena where things are becoming. We are together taking thought where it has not been before. And so this is that new place where new thoughts are coming into the foreground, where you can focus your consciousness on them and feel the satisfaction of what your inner being knows and what you know being met together. There is so much that is potential to be discovered, and your inner being is queued up and ready for the discovery of it. And when you are queued up and ready for the discovery of it, and the discovery happens, in that moment you feel that elation or that euphoria or that new motion forward. Well, technically, every moment of your life can be like that, because your inner being knows what's in your vortex and already understands. Your inner being has been able to do much more segment intending about the things that are coming. So the more you are, maybe just in general terms, positively anticipating the next moment and the next moment, then the less mundane and the more really satisfying your moments will be. Something that helps is to acknowledge how satisfied you feel. When you say it's mundane, that sounds like dissatisfaction. When you acknowledge that you are satisfied, that takes that vibration that is about mundane away, and it leaves you open for new discovery. There is so much newness in the thought. Humans just want the newness to be about the manifestations, but there is so much newness along the way that is so satisfying in nature. And then the manifestation, of course, is satisfying too, but it's not the only game in town. There are many along the way. Is that helpful?
I feel deeply satisfied right now.
Something more?
I just love you, and I love the bag and the book so much. I've had bags and books that I've loved before. These are the best ones I've ever had, like with the zipper and the way the book fits in and the way the pen writes so beautifully. I really love them.
And so that manifestation is so satisfying.
Yeah.
And you would have enjoyed being in on all of the thought that came before. All of the conversation and all of the thought and all of the things that were considered, everything. And the things that you said were things that Esther and Tracy were considering 6 months ago. And so can you imagine how satisfying that will be for Esther when she listens back to hear the satisfaction of your manifestation? That's what we're talking about. Because there was a lot of satisfying thought about all of those gifts before the gifts even existed. You see what we're getting at?
Yes.
Before they were even something to see or to feel in your hands or to acknowledge or witness in any way. There was so much satisfaction that happened before they became a thing that you all could then start talking about. That's really what we're talking about. There's so much satisfaction along the way that just keeps your juices going and keeps you realizing that you are the creator of important things. And what could be more important than a bag?
Only a notebook.
Really good. Really good.